I'm John Britton.
And I'm Angela Jameson, and together we've created the School of Humankind.
We'd like to welcome you to Humanity, where Angela, I, and sometimes other guests get ourselves a cup of tea and talk about the things that matter, how to be human in a really complicated world. Well, good morning to you, Angela.
Good morning, John. How are you today?
Well, good. It's not morning, as you know. It's a
Oh, yes.
grey and, well, it was sunny 2 minutes ago and now it's grey and soon it'll be tipping with rain and then it'll be sunny again. It's springtime in
Great.
Ireland, which is not appreciably different to winter, autumn or summer in Ireland. Uh, so, so
Well, I've got snow to send you if that's all right.
we don't get snow where we are. We're right up in by the sea and there's no snow really. And I miss it. I love snow.
Okay, well, I will send it to you then. I'm
Send me,
sure it'll
put,
get to you no problem.
Put some in a little envelope and post it over.
Yes.
I ordered some things from California about 3 days ago and they've turned up already. Well, they've got to customs in Ireland already. So
Wow.
if you wrapped your snow just in a little bit of stuff, maybe I could, sprinkle it over my windowsill and pretend that I was in a Nordic country.
Consider it done, John. Consider it done.
Thank you. What are you drinking this morning, Angela?
Well, it's an interesting blend. It's called Valentine Breakfast. And I suppose I should be saving or have drank it in February, but it is calendula petals, um, organic black tea mixed with rose hips.
Wow.
I know.
Is that meant to be a love potion of some kind?
I guess so.
One
So,
sip of that and you are adored for all time.
oh, is it a self-love potion? Yes.
Actually, in the world now where the only thing that matters is self-love, apparently it probably is a self-love. Give yourself a little bit of self-love with some Valentine tea, whatever it was called.
Yes, Valentine breakfast.
Valentine. Have a Valentine breakfast. Have breakfast with the one you love. It's you.
And John, what are you drinking?
Well, strangely enough, I found something in my drawer which I had forgotten that I bought a while ago, and I really liked it and then forgot all about
Mm.
it, which is pine needle tea. Dried pine needle, and it's a bit like drinking a Nordic forest. It's lovely. I am
That's something
drinking.
we all love doing,
I am
drinking
drinking
Nordic
pine.
forest.
I'm drinking a pine forest.
Okay. Well, there's nothing like walking out into a pine forest on a cold morning, taking a deep breath, and just that scent brings you somewhere. But anyway, how
I
is it
don't. I don't
drinking?
need to
Is
do
it the
that.
same?
Yeah, I don't. I sit at my desk and I drink that scent.
Okay.
Apparently, I think pine needle tea is originally a Korean idea. And it's not any pine needle. It has to be certain types of pine needle because some of them are poisonous, so you wouldn't want to do that. Uh,
Hmm.
but it's gorgeous and
Hmm.
apparently super healthy, full of antioxidants by all accounts.
Okay. Well, drink away.
I shall. I am. I have a whole pot of it here. And if you hear
And
strange noises, it's because my cat is in the background and is a bit grumpy because everything in the house is being rearranged. And so he's wandering around going, where am I meant to be sleeping today?
oh, poor
Yeah,
cat.
poor thing. So, and that really brings us to the topic of the day,
Hmm.
which is
Which
navigating
is
change. Navigating change.
navigating change.
How do we navigate change? Are you good at change? Are you good at navigating it? Do you like it?
I must say probably not. I think generally my personal body doesn't like change because I always find it hard to change tasks. If I get into doing something, it's hard to change to the task, but then if I force myself to change, then it's hard to change from that task.
Hmm.
So, I think the right answer for me is probably I'm not good at it, but I do mentally love change.
Hmm.
So I have a physical and mental separation.
Is it
How about
different?
you?
Is it different for you, uh, change that you choose or change that is forced on you?
Of course. Of course. If you choose it, you clearly want it. But and if someone forces you to do something, it's a little bit harder if you don't see the point in it.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, I don't know if you choose something you wanted. I sometimes have to choose to do things that I don't want to do, but I just know they have to be done. Uh, but that feels different to me than when somebody suddenly lands and goes, like I had a heart attack 6 years ago. That's a change. Then you go, all right,
Yeah.
okay, there's a big change there. I'd better navigate this one.
And the whole thing is when you decide to, when you the even the heart attack, when you say, okay, this has happened, I have to deal with it, then you navigate change a lot better than when you're still kicking and screaming.
Yeah, definitely. So I
So,
found,
carry on.
I found myself really, I find thinking about change is really kind of complex for me in a lot of ways, because in some ways, I'm really good at change. I mean, my background as a performer is improvisation. It's absolutely having no idea what's going to happen next. Often working with musicians and other performers who I've never met before, and you're on stage in front of an audience having to make something, and that teaches you to be fearlessly spontaneous. And so, in some ways, I'm really good at change. And when the unexpected
Mm.
happens, I'm actually really good at going, oh, okay, well, that was unexpected. And as a painter these days, now that I don't really perform, I don't mind when something goes wrong, or wrong in inverted commas in a painting. I go, oh, yeah, cool, I'll work with that. That's nice. I'm really good at that.
Mhm.
But by the same token, I really love routine and I really don't like change. Like I've moved rooms from one, moved my study from one room to another in the house yesterday, and I'm feeling really disgruntled. I don't know where everything is. I would want to, I just need, I don't know where that is. What?
Yeah.
Tripping over things that are on the floor and going, oh, stop it, leave me alone. Just, and in some ways, I am really, really routine bound. But in other
Right.
ways, I go, I love the radical shifts in the world and transformations. So I don't know what I think about change.
Well, as you were speaking, I was thinking about your life in bubbles. So, for instance, your morning routine, you have that bubble, and then you go into, I'm just going to say painting, for instance.
Hmm.
But within that bubble, you've got elements of change, or yeah, change and surprise that you love, but your overall bubble of painting is solid. Would
Yeah,
that make sense to you?
there's a thing, isn't there, about structural content that I like the change of content, doing different things each day, but I kind of like the routine and the structure of knowing what you're calling a bubble. But see, that's interesting as well, because for many years, for at least 12 years after I stopped being an academic, I basically traveled all the time. And, sometimes I'd be traveling to direct a show, sometimes to teach a show, sometimes to teach a workshop, or sometimes to perform, and so on. Constantly navigating strange cultures, or not strange cultures, but different cultures, strange to me. Living in unfamiliar places, often trying to work in a second language, so having to have a translator to work with me, and all very unsettling, but it was all fine. I had often no structure. I mean, some places you work in the evening, some early mornings, some outdoors, some indoors, some were urban, some on the beach. Crazy, crazy. Sometimes working with children, sometimes working right at the cutting edge with, radical, transgressive performers. It was all crazy stuff. And yet I'd be going, yeah, cool, good. Tell me what time to turn up. I'll be there. Tell me how to get there. I'll be there. But at the same time, there is this thing about structure. I really like to know what I'm doing each day. So I don't know. I find it very confusing. It's why I suggested the topic, because I really don't understand my relationship to change.
Did it change with age?
Yeah, there's definitely that. And it's definitely changed with having stopped traveling, which post heart attack. And it's not fear. It's not that, oh, I had a heart attack, I'm scared now. It's not that. I'm really not at all. but I did stop traveling. And I stopped traveling. The heart attack gave me a hook to hang the decision to stop traveling on. But I had already sort of decided that I needed to cut back on my travel, but I wasn't going to be radical. I was just going to do less of it and so on. And the heart attack enabled me to be radical and say, no, I'm just not going to do it much anymore. And then the pandemic helped as well because I did a gig in 3 months in Greece and then few months in India after the heart attack. Um, I think that's right. I can't quite remember the order of things, but then the pandemic wiped things out anyway. So, and then getting older, yes, it does make me go. I feel like I'm at an age where I want to go deeper into what I'm doing, not go out into the world and do lots of new things and so on. I'm a bit bored with going out into the world and doing lots of new things. Uh,
Yeah.
so,
No, that's I can relate to that through, when I was younger, I would think it was almost making it romantic for people who traveled for work.
mm,
So I did also travel in terms of my career took me overseas. And then when we were there, that was all cool. That was all interesting and new. And then there were some people within those jobs who had to, fly every week to something. And initially you would think, oh, that's really great. Look at they're collecting, I was in the Netherlands, so we did a lot of KLM flying, and they give you in business class, they give you those little Dutch houses. So there's some of my friends who have huge collections of those little Dutch houses because they flew so much for business. And, there was part of me who was a little envious of all that traveling. But when I did some traveling here and there, it wasn't as often, it was really exhausting.
mm.
And, that showed me that I don't want to keep traveling. So when you were talking, I was thinking about two different levels of change because I think as humans, we love variety, we love diversity, we love the difference. It can be as simple as seeing different colors every day. We just love that contrast.
Yeah.
But maybe the huge things of change, I talked about different bubbles that I just envisioned as you were talking. If one of those bubbles changes, that's maybe harder to deal with, like the heart attack, like the,
Mm.
the heart attack that changes your entire routine of your day.
Well,
That's
also
that's something else
changes your sense of self. I mean, that's maybe one of
for
the
sure.
hardest changes. When you suddenly go, well, I was a, very active physical director and performer. My work was physical theatre. I was, and I could, I'd be running 7-hour training days, and pretty much I could keep up with, people in their 20s, pretty much.
Yeah.
Certainly in terms of focus and sort of energy, I could. Certainly by the time I was in my 50s, I couldn't do some of the things physically that they could do. But, I was very active. And suddenly I was someone who was part broken,
Right.
oh, okay. I actually now have a condition which could kill me at any moment, could
Right.
do. And that means my sense of who I am in the world, in some ways it was about growing up. It made me stop feeling like I was invulnerable and I could do anything and all of the rest of it. It made me realize I was very, very mortal. So I think the sense of self changing is perhaps the hardest one. And I know that it happens in many different ways. It happens with menopause. It happens with when you have a child. I know our friend Vreni talks about the changes in women
Yeah.
with the
Matrescence.
the birth of their children and so on. So it happens in many ways. But in some ways, if your sense of self doesn't change, the external changes are much easier to navigate. But if your sense of self does change, you begin to go, do I dare walk up this hill? Can I walk up this hill or will I have a heart attack? I'm someone who walks up hills and suddenly I look and go, do I dare?
Right. And but when we look back on our lives, you aren't the same person mentally
Mm.
or physically. as you were, in your 20s. And as we go through life, hopefully, we get more wisdom through our experiences. And we are all different people, I would say, through that, if we allow ourselves to learn.
Mm.
So that made me think about giving other people grace with change as well, in terms of, when you go to, I don't know if you have these, if they're as popular, but, high school reunions
Yeah,
in
yeah.
North America, we always get together for high school reunions. And it's made me think about, I don't actually know these people anymore. We shared a part of our life, very early part of our life together, but I bet they've changed. And I think the natural thing is that you relate to each other on the way you related back then.
Mm.
And it's the same as, my husband grew up in a small town. And whenever we go back there, it's almost like he has a certain relationship with people that remember him when he was there, but it's changed.
Yeah.
So it's one of those, I'm guilty of judging people from when I knew them. And then now when I reflect how much I've changed, I also have to give people the grace that they've changed as well, and almost learn who they are again based on a foundation of our wild youth. Not that I was very wild.
No, and I can't remember my wild youth. It was wild.
which just says it all, John. Which just says
Absolutely,
it all.
yeah. I reckon if you can remember it, it wasn't that wild. But I think that the thing you bring up about giving grace, I think, is really important. Something that I have encountered a lot in both what I would call coaching work and in kind of mentoring artists. And they're similar strands of work, but they're slightly different in some ways. But if you're working with an artist, particularly with a younger artist or an artist, actually not necessarily younger, just an artist who feels in some ways like she or he is dissatisfied with their work, and they want to grow in a new direction, or they want to evolve or deepen or something. One of the difficulties that they need to navigate is the lack of grace that is shown to them by other people who have expectations of them. So, if you are a conventional dancer and you decide you want to start moving more towards a theatrical thing where you start talking or making your own work instead of working for dance companies, there are going to be some who do not welcome your shift.
Yeah.
And if I've worked a lot with very kind of radical physical performers, and it's great doing really radical in your face work, but when you've done it for a few years, you can get a bit bored with it. You go, yeah, okay, so I'm going to be shocking and in your face again, and often they'll go, I sort of want to do something different. And the communities that they're part of other artists who are all doing radical in-your-face work go, oh, you're selling out, or you're getting old, or you're boring. And they go, no, I'm not. I just want to grow. And
Yeah.
they're not given grace by others. And it's the same in personal coaching. When you're coaching and you go, if you're, I had a client some years ago, a Greek woman in her sort of mid-20s, and she was sort of saying how she really she loved her friends and all of that, but she just didn't want to go out on Saturday nights and Friday nights and drink a lot and meet boys and all of that stuff. She'd been doing it for 8, 9 years, but her friends were really quite hostile when she would suggest doing something different. When she'd go, well, we could go to a movie, or we could go camping for the weekend, or I don't know, we can read a sodding book, something. And they'd sort of go, oh,
Yeah.
you're boring, you're nothing. And, I think your word grace is really important. We do have to give grace, but also we have to, if people won't give us grace as we change, they are no longer our gang. They're no longer our community.
Yeah. Yeah.
You go, I'm not going to stay stuck in a rut just for your convenience.
Yeah. And that is super important. Something that as we go through change, our friend groups may change, and to be accepting of that, because
Mm,
that's also can be really hard on people who are, all big about, and we are all about connection.
mm.
So when different connections are broken because you've changed, that also has to be a recognized part of life. It's sort of a metamorphosis.
And it can be with the people who are closest to you. It can be with a partner. It can be with
Yes.
with family. Your parents have seen you grow up and you kind of grew into the sort of person that they always wanted to be. And then you go, actually, I want to take a different route.
Hmm.
And they can feel very, very hurt by that. And so we have to give grace to them for their lack of grace to us in some ways.
Yeah.
But at the same
Yeah.
time, not go, okay, well, I will stay the dutiful daughter or the dutiful son
Right.
and live the life I don't want to live just to satisfy you. Yeah. It's a very difficult negotiation sometimes.
That is a very difficult one, but it's like allowing people to have their opinions about you, but realizing you're the one living your life. So
Mm.
you have to um, just continue the change, continue learning and growing the way you want to grow.
How graceful are you in encountering changes in yourself?
Um, I think in general, really good because I don't notice them. I'm constantly learning. So it's almost like you're exploring this corridor of life and having a good time while you're doing it and not realizing how far down you've gone because you're changing as you go.
Mm.
You only realize, and for me, it's almost like meeting someone that I've known way back. And they'll say, "Oh, are you still doing X?" And it's like, "Oh, shoot, I didn't realize I stopped doing that." It's just been one of those cycle of changes. And it's when someone remembers that about past you that you realize how much you've grown or changed. I think that's how I think about it.
It's really fascinating because I moved house, I moved country to Ireland 4 years ago, 4 or 5 years ago. And loads of packing and unpacking. And now I just moved room, which is what's provoked this conversation. Uh,
Yes.
and I look at stuff, I pick up a book, go, what is this book? It's been sitting on my shelf, this notebook, it's been sitting on my shelf. And I go, oh God, I used to do this. And then I
Yeah.
suddenly remember a time when something was really important to me and I thought, this is what I'm going to focus on. And I go, wow, I forgot all about the fact that I was supposed to be focusing on that. and
Darn. That
when
would
I
have
was,
helped so much.
well, but yeah, I had I think it was for around when I was 50, might have been 40, I don't know. I was invited to give a talk to an art school at a university out in Western Greece, far West Greece, near the Albanian border. And I said, well, what do you want me to talk about? And I said, oh, anything you like. And that's the worst thing ever to say to somebody. Give
Yeah.
me, give me a topic, give me a rigorous sort of the must be about this, and this, and I'll deliver. But anything you like. And I go, well, I
Yeah.
don't know. But I actually ended up giving a speech about why I'm glad none of my dreams ever came true.
Ew.
And it was really interesting and it really resonated with people, I think. Because I was going, when I was 14, I wanted to join the Royal Navy. When I was 19, I wanted to be a civil servant. When I was
Mm.
30, I wanted to run one of the big national theatres. And now that I'm whatever I was, 45, I think I would have been deeply unhappy in the Navy, the civil service, or being a bureaucrat working for a government run organisation. I think it would have been, I don't know, maybe I would have been very happy, but it certainly doesn't align with how I see myself now as someone who is often an outsider to institutions and, certainly skeptical about the role of the state and so on in our daily lives. So Had my dreams come true, had I spent my entire life working my way up through the ranks of the Royal Navy and ended up an admirable admiral,
An admirable admiral.
and ended up an admiral at the age of 50, I would have achieved my 14-year-old's dream. And frankly, I'd rather be working on my 50-year-old's dream, not my 14-year-old's dream, because I'm not 14 anymore. And so something in that
Yeah.
about the notion of change, that if you go, I have a dream and I'm going to pursue it, you're ignoring the fact that by the time you start to achieve it, it may no longer be your dream.
So, John,
Yes.
this is my coaching question.
Oh, I
What
like
has the
this.
benefit been of your dreams? What's the benefit of having a dream?
Well, you've got to have a dream. Everyone has a dream, or else how
Do
can
they?
a dream come true? Now, I'm trying to misquote some lyrics somewhere in response to your
Okay.
jazz voice. Uh, I think dreams are crucial because they are the vision of passion. They're the thing that goes, this is what makes me feel alive. This is what I yearn for. But I think we must hold them lightly. That is not give up your dreams, but understand that I am driven by a desire for something. And as I move towards it, I will encounter things which will open up new possibilities and will open up new dreams in some ways. And if you hold tightly to your dream, you are closing down the possibility of being changed by the journey towards that dream. So I think dreams are really important because they're about passion, they're about excitement, they're about having a drive and a yearning. But I think we have to hold them not as things we try to achieve, but as things we try to move towards. And as we do, we keep our eyes open for what fascinating byways and pathways and alternate journeys might open up to us. But I'm a great believer in dreams. I don't know, are you? Do you think they're important?
Oh, yeah. I think I love how you put holding them lightly because I think in general I'm a bit of a scatterbrain. So I do have dreams, but then I don't hold tightly to them naturally because I get distracted. So, but when I look back on my life, there's just been a few. I think I was maybe under 10, and my uncle had given me, he was a bit of an eclectic uncle, but he gave me these little notepads that were blank. He gave me three of them, I think. So one of them, I drew an airplane because I loved traveling and I wanted to travel. And I decided, oh, it would be so cool to travel for work. And then another one, I had written, my maiden name is Fung. So I wrote Fung Industries. Like I had this factory, I had built a factory. And because I was fascinated with wooden pallets, for some reason, I love wooden pallets. And so that's just a memory I have of little me drawing in my closet on these pads because I also love stationery. But when I look back and I see where my career has taken me, there's been a lot of airplanes in my life. As I was this international engineer where I worked, in Europe and in Asia, and there was a lot of air travel. And then when I came home, I did have a product-based business in which I reveled in the fact the first time I received shipment, it came on a pallet.
I've
I was
made it.
ecstatic.
I have made it in
I know.
life.
I was like, I didn't care about the product. I just wanted that pallet.
You should have moved into manufacturing pallets, and then you could get pallets coming on pallets.
I thought about it. The pallet factory was for sale, and I just said to my husband, "Do you think we need to buy this?"
I wonder how
That
many
might have,
how many couples have a conversation which starts with, "Do you think we need to buy a pallet factory?"
yeah. I might have missed the boat on that one, but yeah, no. So it's kind of interesting. They were long held dreams or visions,
Mm.
and I don't know why I remember them, but clearly I'd thought about it enough because uh, I'm a firm believer that our memories are really cemented in us through heightened emotion.
Mm.
So because that memory sits with me, uh, I remember exactly where I was. I remember what the drawing looked like. That it must have embedded itself somewhere in my brain that my life has come out to actually achieve a few of those things. And then I think about what did I think I missed doing that at the next pad because I'm telling my kids right now, I'm not quite sure what I am, what I want to do when I grow up. Got all these things brewing.
It's funny, that sense, and it's to do with holding dreams lightly, I think, because what you're saying really resonates. I think that some of the dreams I had when I was very young, the form of them, that hasn't happened at all. But the deeper level of intention within them. I often used to dream of being a orchestral musician or a soloist going concert hall to concert hall or a jazz musician because music was always really important to me but I often had huge dreams of living a creative life, and I haven't fulfilled any of those dreams except I've lived a fully creative life. I've been an actor and I've been a director and a teacher and I'm now a
Yeah.
painter with a studio, so I haven't achieved any of my dreams, but at a deeper level, some ways I'm literally living the dream I that came to me when I was 5, 6. I don't even remember. It's just always been there. I've always
Mm.
wanted to be creative, and I've spent my life creative. So there's a weird sense in which the content, the content of the dream, you know, hasn't happened at all, or the dreams hasn't happened at all. But somehow the motivation has. And that's really interesting because in some ways then I go, well, nothing's changed. All that's changed is how I've moved towards that thing which has never changed, or how I've fulfilled that thing that's never changed.
Yeah. So, in terms of having that dream, it just starts the momentum of our thoughts. It
Mm.
starts the momentum of what we see in our lives. The whole create your own reality. Whatever you're thinking about, you start to see more of. And I think having that dream focuses you, yet being open enough that as we grow, as we change, as we learn more, that we are able to revise that dream and follow a different path. So I think that's kind of key to momentum is when it's still forming, that there are still other stops to do,
Mm.
before you really understand what your goal is, what really understand the beauty of things. I think if 14, if our all of our wishes came true, in a snap of a finger, there'd be so, you'd be this little upset admiral. Sorry. You'd be making other people's lives horrible because you're grumpy, so there's a lot of, I think, emphasizes the joy in the journey of where we have a dream. Let's enjoy the way to the dream and
Yeah,
revise it along the way.
it brings us to something that I think we'll talk about in a future podcast, which is if you run a business, set up a little business from home. We're always being told 7 figures, get a 7 figure month, get a 10 figure business, smash the market. I want to know let's say you've got loads of money or you're smashing the market. Is that all your dream is?
Mm.
Isn't the dream about what that money would buy you, or the time that you could use that somehow you'd have freed up? Or so, when you're setting up a little business or you're self-employed or you're an entrepreneur or whatever, I think it's really important that you don't think that the dream is the surface level success, financial success, or fame or whatever. That Because otherwise you might achieve it, and that would be terrible. because you'd achieve it and go, well, now what? I'm still
Right.
miserable. I'm having a 7-figure month and I'm still miserable. So, but I think that's a topic for another conversation. So maybe
Yes.
my teapot is empty.
Oh, well, we sounds like that's a sign we wrap this up
Well,
with
when
me and my little jazz voice.
go on, go slightly deeper with your jazz voice. Go on.
Me and my little jazz voice.
Oh, that's very good.
Did you like
That's
that?
very good. I did. I did.
I don't even know where that came from.
I know. So well, as a performer, I would say that came right down from the diaphragm. It's very impressive. Hey, let's talk again soon, Angela.
Yes, sounds good.
All right. Bye now.
Bye.
Thank you very much for listening. If you'd like to know more about School of Humankind, please visit our website at www.schoolofhumankind.com, or you can drop us an email on hello@schoolofhumankind.com. Take care out there.